Welcome to Hope in the Waiting Room. I'm Crystal.
And I'm Allie.
Today we will be talking about pregnancy from our perspective.
We're going to be going through each trimester up to birth and labor and delivery. And I just want to start off by again saying we're not medical professionals. We're not here to give medical advice. We're just simply sharing our stories.
We'll start off with what led you to test. Okay, so what led you to test, Allie?
So my two main ones, which I guess honestly were really the only ones, was I had a really bad indigestion, which like I never have, which was so weird
Mhm.
to me. And then I also always like suffered from like insomnia. Like I couldn't fall asleep. Like it would take me hours to fall asleep, but for like 3 days straight, I would go to sleep as soon as my head hit the pillow. And I was like, that's not right. And then I realized my period was late. And then I took a test that next morning and it came back positive.
So, what led me to test was okay, it's a funny story. Me and my husband were home for my whole birthday, and then the first week in June, he had to go to training. And we kept making a joke, being like, haha, it would be so funny if I was pregnant and I found out I was pregnant when you were gone. Ha 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 ha. And then, it was like the week he left, I was like, "Huh, I feel like I should take a pregnancy test." And I texted him and I was like, "Hey babe, I can't stop peeing." I was like, "I feel like I have a UTI, like I might have to go to urgent care. I think I have a UTI." Took a pregnancy test. It was still developing and I tossed it in the trash can because I didn't see a line. It was still
Okay.
developing and Cole texted me. He was like, "Yeah, so did you ever take the test?" I said, "Yeah, I did." I was like, "I think it's negative." He said, "Go check." It had the faintest line. I called him. I said, "Hey, Cole,
That's funny.
I'm pregnant." He said, "I'm eating breakfast."
Bye.
That was
See, that's
it.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's another thing too. You said your line was so faint. When I took my test line showed up before my control line and my test line was darker than my control line. And I was only like maybe like 5 or 6 weeks, I'm pretty sure, when I tested positive. So that's crazy.
I think I was 3 weeks when I tested positive, and
Okay.
it was the day before my missed period. Yeah. And it was like, I don't know about you, I was crazy with taking tests. I was
No,
crazy
I
about it.
wasn't. I just
Oh
took
my god,
one.
I took a test every day until my first appointment. And then when he came home, I was like, Cole, I don't mind you, puking my guts up. I said, "I don't think I'm pregnant." He said, "You don't think?" I said, "Yeah, I think I'm lying to myself. Like maybe I'm gaslighting." And we took one of the not first response, clear blue ones when like it says pregnant.
Oh yeah,
Dude, that thing lit up pregnant immediately.
literally.
But I guess while we're on this topic of what led you to test, I feel like we should also talk about when did you announce?
Oh my gosh. I remember specifically. We announced Christmas Day.
Yes. Oh my god, yes. I remember I was one of the first
Mhm.
people that knew, guys. Not to brag.
I
Not to brag.
I texted you. I was like, I'm pregnant. I think you knew in probably like November because that's when I found out. I think I told you almost immediately.
Yeah. I I think oh my gosh, we announced it very early. 'Cause in my
Yeah,
head, with, like, it being our first, like, pregnancy, I was like, "If something happens, I'd want support."
that's
And
fair.
we
I honestly
announced.
just did it. Like I didn't even think like that. I was just like, hey, it's Christmas Day. Like I'm just gonna announce. I think it'd be cool, and that's what I
Right.
did.
Yeah, that's so smart, though. 'Cause it would've been like,
The
yeah, I
timing
mean,
was right.
it was. Yeah, 'cause I made him the day he came home, I was like, "Yo," I was like, "Let's take announcement photos." And we did, and we were like, "Hey, guys." And I think that next day, Allie texted me, she said, "You're pregnant?" Was like I was like, "Maybe, who knows?"
Possibly.
Moving into the first trimester. Usually, as soon as you test, you're in the first trimester. Some people's first trimester is completely different. And in this case, me and Allie had night and day trimesters. And so my first trimester, I was always sick. I was constantly sick. I was throwing up all the time. I rotted in my bed for like from 6 weeks on to 10. Yeah. I don't know how yours was, if you even had
I
your
w-
nausea at all.
No, yeah, I didn't. I was actually in school. I was in school
Mhm.
still when I was in the 1st trimester, and somehow, I don't know how, but I
You
didn't
got
have anything
blessed.
besides really bad indigestion. I mean, I was, like,
Yeah,
tired, of course, but I wasn't, like, sick or anything, so
yeah,
I don't know
it's
how, but
literally, it's so funny. In my first trimester, my husband came home from work one day. Mind you, he didn't even stink. He came home and I looked at him and I was like, go shower. I said, give me your uniform. Get in that shower. And he sat next to me
I
and I was like, get in that shower. I was like, I will drag you by your hair, go shower. For some reason in
that's
my head,
hilarious.
he stunk. It's only ever been that one day too. It's only been once that he's ever stunk to me.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
It's
It
funny, I
was
feel like I've heard women talk about that. That is so funny.
it's like I've heard women say, like, "My husband always smelled bad." For me, it was just one day, and he literally didn't do anything that day. So I don't know why he
Yeah.
stunk.
I don't even think I had any problems with smells. Not that I can recall.
Well, in the first trimester, we should probably talk about for first appointment, and which usually for
Yeah.
first time moms and, moms who I can't vouch for it because I only have one. Second time moms who aren't that high risk usually only get seen around their 10-12 week mark. Sometimes you don't even get your ultrasound at that very first appointment. It's just to confirm
Yeah.
pregnancy.
It's mine was a dating scan. So it's literally they just measure the size of your baby and, like, confirm how many weeks you are, give you a picture. They'll say, "Okay, we'll set up your first appointment." So it's like, you don't really even get to know your care team yet. It's just like, "Yeah, you're pregnant.
Gosh.
Now wait another 4 weeks until we actually meet you." And
Hmm.
it's terrifying. Like, really, it's terrifying. Even as a first-time mom with,
Yeah,
like, nothing wrong, it's like
they go, just take a prenatal. See you in 4 weeks. If you have any
yeah, literally.
concerns, go to the ER.
Yes, yes, they told me that too. It's not even like, "Call the clinic." It's like, "Go to the ER because we haven't, like, met you yet."
Right, and they're
It's, like,
like, "We don't know
so
your full case." And I
yeah, the
understand
history.
where it's like, at certain times in your pregnancy, if, God forbid, something happens, there's not much they can do in the moment. And I get
Yeah.
that, but I feel like you should also be seen a little bit more just so you can learn your
No, you
team,
don't.
because you also do your genetics testing in your first trimester.
Yep.
Because I know for me, my first appointment was literally "Hi, go pee in a cup. Cool, you're pregnant. Let's go draw your blood. See you in 4 weeks. We'll see you in a
Wow.
week." Got my first ultrasound, which by that time my daughter was 12 weeks, give or take. I was like, okay. Got to see her. Didn't get to hear her heartbeat in that first ultrasound.
Yeah. That's not common, unfortunately. It's from what I've heard, hearing the heartbeats anywhere between, like, 12 weeks to, like, 16 weeks, which is insane because I didn't even get to hear my daughter's heartbeat until 20 weeks, which is honestly so crazy to me. It's so crazy, like, so many people have heard the heartbeat at 8 weeks, and then there's 16 weeks, 20 weeks. Like, how I don't understand why that is so like, not something that's commonly done at a specific week. Like, why are we varying between patients?
Right. And it's also like, obviously, I can understand every practice is different. It will always be. Every practice is different. Every
Right.
OB, every midwife, every doula, like they're all different. They're all going to do their own things. And I feel like there should be at least a consistent schedule that we're following throughout practices,
100%.
especially saying being a military spouse. People are moving throughout their pregnancies. It wasn't
Yeah.
till I was like a few weeks when I actually heard her heartbeat. And of course, I took it upon myself to want to buy a Doppler, which is very hit or miss. Do your own research before buying them.
Right.
Most people say they're fine if you know how to use them properly. Some say they give you false hope, they give you false all this stuff. But
Yeah,
in that
because it's a very, it just because their heartbeat is fine, it doesn't always mean that they're fine. That's why they tell you to, like, err on the side of caution with that and don't use it as, like,
mhm,
a coping
reliance,
mechanism or, like, a no yeah, don't have reliance to it. If you ever fear something, go get checked. That's the golden rule.
right,
But, it's still reassuring though, honestly.
right. And in your first trimester as well, you usually get the option to do what's called an NIPT test.
Yes.
And it's basically your test where you're learning if your baby has any genetic components that either will cause a birth defect, make your pregnancy unviable, all this stuff. And it also can tell you the gender of your child, which is the fun part,
Yes.
which is what a lot of people love.
The second trimester, aka the golden trimester for most women, is when usually your energy comes back. You can typically eat a lot better again. You'll have your first anatomy scan. I feel like it's also a pretty like uneventful one. Like the first trimester is so I'm sick, help.
I'm sick. I'm
And then the second
tired.
trimester is like, "Oh, great, I feel better, I can eat." And then the third trimester is like, "This, this, this, this."
It's a
So,
rush.
it is a rush. It's the second trimester is almost like the calm before the storm, but in a good
Right.
sense, not in a bad sense. It's just like, you just feel so much better, and that is common for most women. But personally, in my second trimester, I felt like I went backwards. Like I was so much more exhausted than I was in the first trimester. I had a lot more food aversions. It was
Right.
crazy. It's almost like mine flipped. But what about you?
Right. For my second trimester was night and day. I had so much energy. I was moving. I was ready. I was already in the phase of nesting. And
Oh,
since we
yes.
got
Oh my god, me too. It hit me
yeah,
so fast.
I was scrubbing my floor with a toothbrush.
Yeah.
I was like gotta get every freaking nook and cranny clean. Which is funny because in my second trimester I did not want to do.
When I was in the second trimester, we moved to the place that we live in now, and I literally unpacked every single box in 2 days. That's
Damn.
how bad of nesting was. I was like, "It cannot be a mess in here. I have to get this done." I
Damn. Can you
I
be in
still
the
don't know
nesting
why I
mood
did
when I
that.
move again?
Maybe.
Yeah, I need that.
Yeah, no,
July, August. Yeah, come visit.
I got yelled at because I did too much work, but it was not heavy lifting, okay? I literally
Right.
slid the boxes against the floor. It was
You're
fine. I
so
just needed it out of my sight. Like, I was gonna go insane.
right. And even with like my second trimester at 16 weeks, I experienced this lovely thing called my daughter decided to flip head down and
Ooh.
apparent yeah, she was head down early.
Yeah, that is
And
really
she
early.
this is when we also discovered I had what was called a low-lying placenta. So when at 16 weeks I was like experiencing like cramps, but they were kind of Braxton Hicks, which again, very early. And I had to go to the ER, went to the ER. They were like, "Okay, we're gonna do the like stomach scan," and then they were like, "Huh, we can't see everything. Let's do transvaginal." Did that, and they were like, "Hey, girl, we can't see anything. Your placenta is over your cervix."
Mm.
And when you hear that, they're like, "Oh," because usually low-lying placentas and what's called placenta purivera. I'm saying it wrong. I'm sorry. Usually leads into like having to be monitored, making sure you have a scheduled C-section because your placenta covers the exit for your baby. And I was scared because I did not want a C-section.
Yeah.
And because that's a major surgery. That's a major surgery no matter what. And I was so scared. And luckily, at my anatomy scan, we found out that my placenta moved, thankfully. And yeah, it was like a lot of nausea, going away. I was still sick every now and then,
Yeah.
but knowing that she could headbutt my placenta and my cervix, that was not fun. 2 out of
Yeah.
10.
One thing I didn't know too is that this is another thing that I know is not common knowledge. Your placenta can move.
Yeah. They
Like,
don't
when
talk about that a
I
lot.
got my dating scan, I had a posterior placenta, and then at my
Mhm.
anatomy scan, I had an anterior placenta, so it can move.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
And it's like there's usually a time frame where it's like it stops, and that's usually when they're just mainly growing. You still have your appointments every 2 weeks, which sucks. You're hearing your baby's heartbeat more, which is amazing.
Yeah, that
And they
part is
usually
very reassuring.
and they start taping you. Oh, and you experience your first kicks. Usually.
Yes. Yeah.
You get to
Even with
experience
I will say, having an anterior placenta, they say that you can feel you could possibly feel less movement, but I don't think I did. I mean, it took a little longer to feel kicks, but I still felt the first kicks at 20 weeks. So it's not that
Right.
much off of the normal, like, 16-ish that most women feel them.
And they also never really tell you what to expect with a kick.
No.
'Cause at first I was like, "Oh, I think I just have, like, the butterflies in my stomach feeling," and it was like, that's all I felt. I was like, "Oh, I just feel like I have butterflies in my stomach." And then when you would go into your appointments, they'd be like, "So you feel baby moving?" And you're like, "I think, not
Or
100%."
yeah, I feel like mine felt like, muscle spasms, like, you know how if your leg, like,
Yeah,
jumps? That's how it felt
that's
to
a
me.
really good way to explain it.
That's the only
Oh
way I
my
can ever
god.
think to explain it. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
for me, it
people
was
say
like I
gas, and I'm like, "No,
no,
that
that
was
did not feel like gas.
no, it doesn't."
And then as they get bigger, their kicks get stronger.
And
They'll
they
say, "For
elbow
you,
your
no?"
ribs.
Oh, I got
Oh,
kicked in the
no,
ribs.
I did, trust me, I still got hard ones.
Yeah, that
Plain
my daughter would find her way into my ribs, and it was so scary because you would see a kick in my side, and it would be like, "Oh,
yeah, and then it also starts being when you have to do kick counts, and then it's honestly kinda
really?"
terrifying because I feel like it's never yeah, I had to start doing kick counts at 25 weeks. Is that not
Mine
the second
wasn't
time?
until, like no, mine was at 34 weeks is when they started
Oh,
advising.
wow. No, yeah, I was advised to start kick counts from the 5th month on, I think that's what my paperwork said, yeah.
Damn.
So it was, like, a long time of it, and it's really scary because it's, like, sometimes you don't know what was a kick or what wasn't a kick, and then if they are, like, 2 minutes off one day, you're, like, having a panic attack, like, I think that is the personally, that was my hardest part about pregnancy was because I was always so anxious that, like, I didn't do it right or something because I feel like it was never totally explained very well.
Right.
Like, that part is so scary to me. Like, that is a part that I'll be
Mhm.
terrified to go through again. I'm not gonna lie.
And I will say, we're not sponsored, but there's an app called Count the Kicks, which is very beneficial for a lot of women because it sets a reminder every day, same time, tells you, "Hey, count your kicks." And if they're off, it will tell you, "Hey, you should call a medical professional," or, "Hey, you should go see a medical professional."
Yes.
And usually also around this time, you hit 20 weeks, your anatomy scan.
Nobody talks really about like, even as a first-time healthy mom, quote, unquote, "perfect pregnancy," that anatomy scan is so scary
Oh,
because 'cause you're
yeah.
like, you still get your NIPT results back, which will tell you the results of your genetic testing, and then if that's all clear, you'd think it'd be like, "Oh, okay, that's fine," but then you go to your anatomy scan, and then it's like, "Oh my god, now I have to worry about if baby's lungs are developing right, if baby's brain is right, their bones." All those
Mhm.
things, and it's so overwhelming
Right.
because you just don't know, and then your ultrasound techs aren't really, like, allowed to, like, show emotion, and then they're just
Yeah.
sitting there silently clicking away at the pictures, and you're like, "Oh my god, what if something's wrong?" Like, she's
Mhm.
taking so many pictures, what if something's wrong? But it's normal, so I guess what I really wanna say from that is don't worry if your ultrasound tech is taking, like, a ton of pictures, that's just their job, they have to do that, and they're not really allowed to, like,
Do much.
express what they're seeing.
Yeah, a lot of, like, the second trimester is so anxiety filling, and I do wanna preface saying, again, we aren't your doctors, but also just from other moms that I've known, if your NIPT tests come back, like, inconclusive, they do a lot more genetic testing on you to figure out the severity or if it's possible. And the anatomy scan too is so it's like so it's so bittersweet. It's stressful and
Yeah.
exciting because it's like then if your NIPT test came back squeaky clean, it now leads into the whole like Ali said, like are they developing correctly? And even
Physically,
then,
right,
it's
yeah.
still it's hard to, like, say they're developing and they're growing like they should. Because some babies are obviously are, like, developing ahead, developing behind. Some
Right.
babies are gonna be stubborn, not wanna show certain parts, they're not gonna wanna do certain things. So moving on to the lovely 3rd trimester, the trimester that you meet baby.
Where everything starts up, for real.
Yeah, because now you're getting seen every 2 weeks. You're going through occasionally growth scans, NSTs, birth plans, labor, packing, everything, which we're gonna the 3rd trimester, I feel like we can speak a lot more into because that's so much closer than all these other trimesters were. And this is also when things can start to develop with or without signs.
Unfortunately, yes.
And so I don't know about your experience, Allie, but for me, when I never got a growth scan until I was in my like week long admission.
Okay.
Yeah, it was I don't want to say OB because she wasn't an OB. She was like a midwife, kind of. She told me that she didn't see them as medically necessary, which kind of
Mm.
confused me because I'll admit I went to like ultrasound, like what are they called? Boutiques. And it was like, the tech was like, hey, how far along are you? I was like, oh, I think I was like 32, 33 weeks at the time. And they measured my daughter and they were like, hey, girl, you need to request a growth scan. And obviously, hearing that, you're like, what? Like, why? And that's when like the ultrasound tech was like, your daughter is significantly small, which is crazy to me.
But that's a good thing about those places is you can, like, get a second opinion too because you don't really get a lot of ultrasounds throughout pregnancy, which is
Right.
very concerning, might I add. Like, that
Yeah.
should not be standard practice. But if you do go to one of those private, like, clinics or, like, boutiques, it's
Mhm.
always more reassuring, and I truthfully wish I would have done that, and I will do that my next pregnancy, like, for sure.
And kind of your third trimester is when the tiredness comes back. Some people quote it as your second first trimester. And
That's funny, I feel like my 3rd trimester was my golden trimester. I was, like, so fine besides, like, my back and, like, my tailbone.
right, yeah, that's when my tailbone problems really started. It felt like I fell on my butt.
Yeah. Like, it was a really bad bruise.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's, like, exactly how it felt.
yeah. Then some people experience what's called an NST, which is a non stress test. Again, I never got those till I was admitted. I know you got
Yeah,
some
because
during.
those are, at least for my practice, they're more considered for high risk pregnancies or, like,
Right.
if you show some type of, like, something that would warrant you needing an NST.
On stress tests, you get two bands. They track contractions and heart rate of the baby. And so usually whenever you go to labor and delivery, whether it's just because you think something's wrong, you're in actually active labor, they'll put the two bands on you. And sometimes babies will be stubborn, not want to show their heart. But usually you'll get them and they'll keep you on the monitor for a bit. It's just to see like, okay, are you having contractions? Are you having like, is your baby's heart rate going consistently? Is it dropping? And from someone who got induced, I had to wear them all throughout my labor, which it was like if you moved one wrong way and they lost baby's heartbeat for a split second, oh, you were going to have a nice meeting with like three different nurses who were like, we got to get you back.
Mm.
And I learned how to read mine very quick because I was like, because I was right next to it the whole time. But I don't know how NST works for like inside clinics, unless it's kind
Like
of
what
like the
I
same
had to
way.
do?
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing. You just sit in a chair that can recline, and they put you on the 2 monitors, and
Mhm,
they just wait until baby's heart rate it has to spike twice within, like, a certain amount of time for it to be
mhm.
considered a pass, and then I don't
What do they
know.
mean by
That's
spike?
literally all that was explained to me. So, like, an example, so, like, Kenley's heartbeat was usually always somewhere between, like, 145 and, like, 150. So that was
Mhm.
her baseline, like, what they went off of. So her heart rate would have to reach, like, 160 once and then settle and then reach, like, 160 again or something like that. Those are just example numbers. It just had to spike above, like, the normal rate to show that your baby is active and they're not, like,
That's really interesting because I didn't.
inconsistent heartbeat and not having an inconsistent heart rate, I guess. I'm telling you, it wasn't
Right.
explained to me. I sat down, they put the monitors on me, they say, "Okay, we're gonna wait for our heartbeat to spike twice." It did, I went to my ultrasound, like, I have no idea, I'm just assuming, and based off of,
Based off of
like,
what you know.
searching on my own outside of the clinic, that
Right.
is what it's supposed to mean.
Right. Because in my case, so obviously there will be another episode where where we go more in depth about birth stories, but I'll say because I went to LND twice, had I think it was 4 NSTs throughout like my whole admission. Mind you, I was
Okay.
admitted for a week before giving birth. And a lot of it too was like just sitting there to make sure baby was fine. And I remember my second time going in after my first discharge, so my second time, I was sitting there and they were like, "You feeling any pain?" I was like, "No." I was like, "I just have to use the bathroom." They said, "Well, you're contracting." And I went, "Oh, that's cool." Like, they
I
never,
didn't
like,
feel
really
my
explained it.
contractions until I was 5 centimeters, so
Yeah, I was like it
makes
was
sense.
weird. They say Pitocin contractions hurt. I didn't really feel anything till
Ooh, ooh.
wait,
I would
whoa, back up. Did they hurt for you?
yeah, they were so bad, like, I personally would not describe contractions as what they're told to you to be, but I also
They
think
say
that's
they're
because I was
period
on
cramps.
Pitocin. No,
Right.
this was like chainsaw, like shark bite inside of my body, like, and then getting thrown in like a blender and then like stomped on by an elephant and so forth.
It's not
Like,
funny.
I thought I was gonna literally like fall apart, and mine were so regular, like mine weren't even like a minute apart. Mine were back to back to back to back. So I got
Right.
no break because they make you finish a full bag of fluids before they can give you an epidural. At least they did with me. And my Pitocin literally started hitting like right when I just got the fluids. So I had to wait for the whole bag to go down. So I had contractions at 6 centimeters for about almost 2 hours, just shy of 2 hours before I could get the epidural. I could not breathe properly. Like, that was easily the
Yeah.
worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Truly.
Yeah. Cause in my case, I don't know if it's maybe because I was, like, laboring in different positions. Cause I had a mission. My goal was to not get an epidural. I got an epidural, guys.
Yeah, it
Spoiler
happens,
alert.
and it's okay. You're allowed to get one.
Yeah. Yeah. It started getting bad, like, mind you, I was in labor for 72 hours. So, I got it. I know, I need a ribbon for that.
That is crazy. Yeah.
And it was like, I got it the night I was getting like, the night before my daughter was born. So, it was I had to have been a few centimeters by then. I don't remember how much. I think it was, like, around 6 or 7 when I got my epidural. But, yeah, it didn't get bad till, like, I fell asleep and the IV pain meds wore off, and I remember my husband would not freaking wake up, dude. I told him, I said, you gotta up." I was like, "You are waking up." I said, "Call my nurse. Get me the epidural. I'm done. Call my nurse. Get me the epidural." He was not waking up enough, and I had a vomit bag. It had no vomit in it. And I, like, tossed it on him because he was sleeping, like, on the bed next to me. I said, "Get up and call my nurse." He said, "Good
Mhm.
morning to you too, love." I said, "I don't know if I'm loving right now." Then
Bye.
I got I know. I got my epidural and I went, "Mm." I remember I told the anesthesiologist, I said, "I hope your wife treats you well. I hope he gets a raise." I don't even know his name.
I don't know mine's name either. They, like, don't tell you your names. They just walk in your room and do it and leave.
I know. And in some cases too, you don't even get to have your spouse in there.
Yeah.
They told my
I
husband they were like, "Go in the
did
waiting room."
I also think my situation was severely different, and if I
Right.
did not have that, I don't think they would have been able to get it in me, because I actually also planned to labor without an epidural and hopefully not have to get one, but I was already in so much emotional pain, like, I could not go through labor with no outcome, so I just got the
Right.
epidural and relaxed, because I didn't really have to worry about it. It was just
Right.
more for my mental state at that point.
Yeah. And I guess something they also don't tell you about the epidural too is that your baby's heart rate can dip after you get it.
Yeah, see, I
And
that's what I was so
yeah,
worried about with having to have it, but that canceled itself out for me, but that was the main reason I didn't want it.
right. And I didn't know that. And apparently I was too out of it to know that because it wasn't until like 2 weeks postpartum I looked at my leg and I saw a bruise and I was like, did I get a shot in my leg? And my husband was like, yeah. I went, oh. And it was apparently
Okay.
to help the baby's heart rate to get back up.
Mm.
But since we're getting ahead of ourselves, let's jump back a little bit to, I guess, birth plans and packing for your hospital.
Oh,
They never
yes.
really tell you when to pack or to even make a birth plan. Because I've always heard, and I mean, it's true, sometimes your birth plan just gets thrown out the window, and that's very valid.
My situation is a really good example of that. My birth plan completely got thrown out of the window, which honestly, my birth plan anyway was really simple. My main thing was healthy baby, healthy mom, no episiotomy.
Mhm.
Like, that was
Yeah.
literally my main ones, and if I need an epidural, fine, but I'm planning to not have it, whatever.
Mhm.
But then it switched to, we'll get into that another time, but I
Yeah.
remember when I actually, like, was giving birth, like, when her head was like, when she was trying to crown, I told my GYN, or the doctor delivering my baby, I was like, "I don't want an episiotomy," and she's like, "You don't need one," because my situation was different, but my hospital makes you fill out a birth plan to give
Mhm.
to your doctors, and that was a part of mine, and obviously, I did not need to turn in that paperwork because what had happened, so I didn't know if she knew that, and the only thing in my mind was my birth plan, and I was like, "Wait,
Right,
girl."
my hospital didn't give us the option to do a birth plan, which kinda sucked in a way,
Yeah.
and so I made my husband learn that front and back. He had it on his phone and he had everything. Yeah, it was, like, a weird experience because it was, like, trying to be like, "I don't want that. Don't give me that." But yeah, and I guess since we covered all the bases of the 3rd trimester, unfortunately, I will say all we can talk about with labor-wise is inductions.
Mhm.
Neither one of us experienced spontaneous labor. Hopefully, within our next pregnancies, we will experience spontaneous labor
It's
or
the
even
goal.
inductions.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't
actually, no, I lied. We'll never be allowed to spontaneously go into labor unless I do it prior to 36 weeks because
right.
since I experienced loss at 36 weeks and 6 days, I will never go past 36 weeks in any pregnancy. I'll
Yeah.
always be induced. So I don't
Yeah,
know if
I
I'll ever have that experience, but
right. I can't really speak for my own because I had developed atypical preeclampsia, and obviously, I'm aware once you have it once, you have a risk of getting it again. And since hers was kind of just really fastly onset, it just really depends on, I guess, what MFM and
yeah.
my OB in the futures recommend. Going into labor wise, labor is just, that's an experience on its own. I feel like
Yeah.
because you hear some woman screaming bloody murder when you're giving birth or when they're giving birth, and then you hear others that are just quiet. And it's
Yeah.
just a weird experience, especially with all the medications you're getting. Because I can't, obviously, can't speak for everyone, but I had to get Cyotec my first day. And I think
Is
I
that
was
the
only allowed,
pill to
that
induce
was,
you?
yeah, it was like to help you dilate. You could take it
Yeah. I
orally
had to
or
get
they put
that
it
too.
vaginally.
I had to
Yeah.
get 4 doses of that.
I had 12. I had 13 technically. I had 12 oral, one vaginal. Yeah. That's kind of why I was in labor for
Oh.
so long.
Oh.
It
Yeah,
was
no, it
every
got
few
to the
hours.
point where it was like, "No, like, we can't do this again, you need to get a Foley balloon." I ended up getting a Foley balloon.
Yeah, so did I, but it was like after they did it cervically, they were like, "Girl, you just need a Foley balloon." They were like, "We gotta do something." And I said, "Do
Yeah.
whatever you gotta do. It's been 24 hours. I already slept through the night the first time." Had that. Oh no, I got it in the middle of the night. They did that. And I don't know about your experience, but I like my OB came in to check on me and she was like, "Oh," she's like, "It fell out." And then she was like, "Well, your water's not broken yet." She put her glove on, did a cervical check. I heard a pop. I had no memory. I was like, "Oh, maybe my hips just popped." No, my water broke. And the best way my husband could explain it was like a movie.
Oh,
Like a movie. Thanks.
a movie.
But I don't know how was your Foley balloon experience?
It was just I think honestly, she just came in to, like, check on me, and she just wanted to see, like, where it was, so she lightly tugged on it, and it just fell out.
I guess what would be the I guess the only other topic would be the feeling of being 10 centimeters.
I
Because
wouldn't know that.
obviously
I didn't feel anything.
you didn't have the urge to poop.
No, I what had happened was they had to give me medication to sleep because I couldn't sleep because of everything
Right.
going on. So I slept and I went from a 6 to a 10 in, like, half an hour. Like, I only got, like, 30 minutes of
Yeah.
sleep, and then I would not say it was, like, the urge to poop, like, how they explain it, or, like, pressure. It
Mhm.
was, like I mean, I guess it was pressure, but I feel like with an epidural, pressure feels different. It was almost kinda
Oh,
like
yeah.
the only thing I can imagine it as I'm trying to think of a way to explain this, is like, I just felt like something, like, low hanging, like, I don't know, it was just kinda way heavier than, like, it had been
Yeah.
before, and I was like, "What?" I thought my epidural stopped working,
Oh,
but that is
damn.
not what it was. I was 10 centimeters.
Yeah, my experience is at 8 centimeters, it was 7 AM, and I was told oh, no, I was, like, 8 or 9 centimeters, and I told my husband, I was like, "Hey, can you call my nurse? Like, I need to use the bathroom." Because they always tell you if you feel the urge to poop to call them.
Yeah.
And so my husband called them. They got my at the time I was being treated by a high risk doctor as well. They came in, they checked me, and they were like, "Oh, girl, you're like, let us know when you got to go."
Yeah.
And so a few hours later, me and my husband were joking around after they left. I was like, I'm gonna have her by 11 or 12. I was like, no matter what, she's coming by 11 or 12. Because this is when they started to hit their point with me where they were like, if this baby's not coming this afternoon, the baby's coming tonight. Like that baby will get the
Right.
sunroof method. And I told my husband, I was like, yo, I was like, I got to go. And thankfully, I guess I was one of the only women on the L&D floor at the time. So the doctor was just hanging out. And when I was ready, they looked at me, they were like, oh, yeah, that baby's coming. And I don't know if they said this to you, but from other mothers I've spoken to, they for some reason really like to tell you, yeah, you're going to push for like 2 to 3 hours.
That no, they didn't say that specifically to me. They just said because I'm getting induced and also just because of my situation that I could be having so much like cortisol because I was so stressed that it could like kind of like deflect
Hmm.
from what's happening so it could take longer. But they really kind of only said it like that. They didn't give me a time frame. They just said it could take pretty long, that's all.
Yeah.
So
Cause
in a
I know
sense it's the
too.
same.
Yeah. Cause I know too, if you push for a certain amount of time, that's when they kind of advise, like, we should go get you into an emergency seat.
Yeah, because you can also have maternal exhaustion with an epidural.
Yeah.
I will say in
And it,
between contractions, I was so tired, like, pushing takes a lot out of you. Even with an epidural, I was like,
mhm.
"I need to sleep."
And it's also like you're never really told the correct way to push.
No.
Like, I know me and you have talked about it one on one where I was like, when you push, push like you're doing a crunch.
Yeah, like,
And
curl
truthfully,
over your
yeah,
stomach.
truthfully, if it wasn't for my husband lifting my back up every time I had to push, I feel like I would have pushed for years.
Yeah.
And in the moment, it feels like you're not pushing for as long as you are.
Oh,
I
no, not
pushed
at all.
I pushed for around 30 minutes and it didn't even feel like 30 minutes. And I will say, which is so crazy because when you're in L&D, you're hearing people scream, yell, do all these things. But I didn't really make noise. Given I was crying, for some reason, I was crying nonstop. I was like freaking out.
I don't think I made any noise either, but again, my entire room was silent because nobody knew what to do or say.
Right.
But I will say that hearing like, the rooms were, like, so just close together, I feel like you could hear like, I think the walls were like paper, you could hear everything, and I was
Mhm.
getting to the point where I was like, her head was, like, almost there to come out, and then in the other room, I hear someone getting hooked up to the heartbeat monitor, and I can hear another baby's heartbeat, and I just, like, froze. I don't know how long for, I just know I froze.
Right. And it's like in the moment of childbirth, it's like, I know there's a saying when you die, your life flashes before your eyes. But it's like when you're giving birth, it's like every moment that led up to this is there. So
Right.
it's like hearing another person get hooked up to a heart monitor, hearing all these other noises. It's like everything that once was there is now becoming a whole different experience for you.
I think that might be it just because there are so many other things that we're gonna go through in our birth stories, and we have a whole lineup for you guys. We have so many things ready, and we're gonna
Right.
touch on, like, literally everything under the sun.
Everything. Until next time, keep holding on to hope because even in the waiting room,
You are not alone.
bye guys.
Bye.